Hey, I'm Mike. This is the Wandering Minds podcast, and guess who we have back? The champ, Brent Primus. What's up, my man?
What's up, man? How's it going? Thanks
Good. So you are a busy man. I don't want to hold you for too long, but I want to go back to your Usman fight, starting from there, because you train at FS. You do your conditioning. In FS. You train a lot of different places, but I see you at FS just killing it, kicking ass in there, doing your cardio, your conditioning. I know how hard you work. I know how much effort you put into every single day, every single training session that you have, which is multiple sessions per day, per week, all that stuff. Sure. Let's go back to the Usman fight, because that was a loss for you, but it was a controversial loss. So let's talk about that real quick.
No, he beat me decision or whatever, and I was definitely super bummed about losing, obviously. And I went home, and I think a couple weeks later, I got a call from my manager saying they want to, the head of the boxing commission and attorney general and a bunch of lawyers want to talk to me on the phone. And I was like, what could this be about? I was like, man, I haven't done anything wrong. So,
right.
And they didn't tell me, that's all they told me. And so I had to wait a whole week, and I was like, what is going on? And then finally I got on the phone call with, a bunch of lawyers, the head of the commission and the attorney general. And they're like, Usman cheated. We caught him with some banned substances, and we want to let you know that you need to start training right now for the $1 million, because you're going to be fighting the winner of Shabli and Pitbull.
Nice.
And so, and I was absolutely excited. I was super happy, and I talked to the attorney general, and they were pretty much saying he cheated. So we never call anybody unless we have 100% proof.
Right.
So start getting ready. And so I called my coaches. I called Forever Strong. I was like, man, let's get back to work.
Yep.
And I started training. I paid a bunch of money for my coaches and for everything, and I started training. And I 100% thought I was going to be fighting for the finals. And then it turns out, it did not happen. And I think there's just so much politics and controversy and stuff like that. I think a lot of it, or pretty much all of it, is because his last name, he's related to Khabib and with that team, and I really feel like if it wasn't anything to do with that, then they would have stripped the belt from him and all that stuff. But so that was a big letdown. I was super bummed, and then everything happens for a reason, and now I'm fighting for the PFL $1 million tournament and the belt. So I've had one fight, and I got 3 more fights for that $1 million. So nice. I'm super excited about that.
Yeah. So this last fight, let's talk about this last fight. How was the training any different? I know your intensity level was probably different because you just came off a loss, and I can understand that losing, especially when it comes down to you lost, there was a cheat involved. There was cheating involved.
For sure.
So that must have put a whole different edge on a chip on your shoulder, I might say, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, a loss is a loss to me. I hate losing more than anything. Every time I lose, I'm literally, no matter how hurt I am, I'm up the next day working out and training. I just can't wait to get back in there. I've never lost 2 in a row, and it just fuels me, And so I was definitely super bummed out, and I was back to training right away. And once I heard that I was going to be fighting for the $1 million, it just revved me up. I was so excited, But man, it is what it is. A damn cheater, So and I've always been I've always tried to be the hardest worker in the room, no matter what. If I feel like if I'm the hardest worker in the room and I'm consistent with me showing up, then I will be the best, or one of the best, and I can make it,
results.
And I can have my results and everything. And it's always been that way. So that's one thing that I pride myself on, is working my butt off. And it sucks when I'm training 3-4 times a day. Mm-hmm. I'm killing myself. I never see my kids. It is the worst thing in the world. But I know that there's going to be light at the end of that tunnel. And then, fighting somebody and finding out they were on stuff, to enhance their performance, it's a big letdown for sure. So that sucks. But right now I'm fighting for PFL, and I signed a contract where I can fight for PFL or Bellator, because PFL bought.
I was going to ask about that.
PFL bought Bellator.
Okay.
But right now I'm in the PFL 2024 season for the $1 million and the belt, which is awesome. But one thing that I'm super stoked about is that we're being tested by USADA, and that's who was testing the UFC guys and all those guys, and you have to literally give them a schedule where you're at all the time, and they can go wherever that schedule's at, and if you're not there, then you can get, ding marked or fined or whatever. And so I'm super excited that we are getting tested outside of competition, because I feel like Usman and all these people or whatever, or whoever's cheating, they know when they're getting tested, so they can take things to mask it or get it out of their system, and I heard one of the things that Usman got caught with wasn't a steroid, but it was something that is known to mask steroids or get it out of your system within like a certain amount of hours, and what's weird about the whole situation, I remember after we weighed in, me and Usman, somebody grabbed my shoulder and was like, we need to take a urine sample from you. And I was like, all right, cool. Yeah. So we were walking back, and I heard Usman saying no, blah, blah. I heard him saying something. I was like, huh. And we went in there. I was like, what's up with Usman? Is he taking a pee test? He's like, no, he said he can't go to the bathroom right now. So he's going to go up to his hotel room and let us know when he can go. And I was like, man, that does not sound right, you know? And so it just seemed the whole situation
that was sketchy
weird.
Just that alone, by allowing him to
leave the they usually never do that. Even like if you go take a urine test for like a job, you drink water, you wait in the lobby or whatever, like I don't know, but it was when you're taking urine tests for fights or whatever, they literally go in there and watch everything, and that's how it should be.
Mm-hmm.
But I did do that for a job. Have you ever had to be watched for? You're a fighter, so yes.
I haven't yet.
It was awkward.
Yeah.
I did when I was young and dumb. I was like, crazy, and I got in trouble for selling marijuana, and I got cops came to the house, blah, blah, all this stuff, and I did road crew, and then I was on probation for like 3 years, and he did that. That was the only time ever.
Right.
But I've learned, and I'm a new man. And I found jiu-jitsu and everything. So
I just wanted a job.
Right. Seriously. So does it kind of make you feel good that he had to cheat to get the confidence to beat you?
Yeah, and that's another thing.
You know what I mean? Is there that side of it?
Yeah, for sure. Me and my buddies were talking about that. We're like, man, he comes from, one of supposed to be one of the best fighters, like family. He grew up with them and trained with all of them, and he's from AKA. All those guys are there, and he's from the Dagestani mountains. They got so many crazy, all this. Everybody looks up to them or whatever. And I was like, man, all of that, and you would still have to cheat and take things. It's crazy. And then. But another thing people might not know is Islam Makhachev or whatever, who's the UFC lightweight champion. Yeah. He got caught for steroids years ago too,
Really?
And so I'm like, man, once a cheater, always a cheater in my mind, And I feel like if you've been caught with steroids or enhancing, performance or whatever, enhancing drugs, I feel like almost all your accolades, everything should be almost wiped out way. Like how do we know that you didn't get all that from taking the steroids, which you already got caught with? I think. I hate it so much because I literally train all day long, and
well, you sacrifice so much. Just the family aspect alone, because your kids are pretty young. Yeah. So sacrificing that time when your kids are young,
man, it makes me cry sometimes. I'll get up and I go train or work out, and they haven't woken up yet, and then I don't come home until sometimes 10 o'clock at night or 11 o'clock at night from my last training session, and obviously they're sleeping for school, and sometimes it's like that, and I don't see them for like 4 or 5 days, whatever, and it's like, oh my god, it's like it hurts so bad, But even for this last fight, I feel like I didn't get to see him for like weeks because I was training so much. Yeah. And so I let him, as soon as I got home, I was like, man, you can buy any toys you guys want. I let him play hooky. Yeah. We hung out, and
that's good.
And that's good. It's awesome or whatever. And nothing like that family time, but it also is motivation too. It's like, man, this guy, I'm fighting. This guy made me, miss this, my kid's first soccer game, all this stuff. I was like, man, I'm gonna make him pay or whatever. Like, oh man, I can't eat this. Can't eat this pizza. I'm gonna get this guy. I do stuff like that all the time for sure.
Yeah. So let's talk about this next fight coming up. Well, no, let's actually talk about the fight that you just won.
Yeah. It was my first time fighting for PFL. And I've really only fought for Bellator. I've only had like 2 fights outside of Bellator. They signed me when I was 2-0. So it was kind of cool fighting for somebody else. PFL was awesome, really professional. Everything was so cool. I loved it. And I've always said, like, if somebody could have a promotion that was an actual fighter, I think they would do such a good job because they were a fighter. They know all those little details and all those little things that, fighters want or need or whatever. And PFL is really the only organization out there that has Ray Sefo, who fought in the highest level. He's the man, and so I feel like he has all these little things that a lot of people don't have in the other organizations or whatever. And everything was super professional. The photo shoot was awesome, you know, and yeah, it was super cool. So we got like, this is the first time I think we've had like fight kits, you know, like actual like uniforms, and so that was cool. And so yeah, I'm happy, I'm excited, and I cannot wait for my next fight. I have absolutely no injuries. I fought Friday night or Saturday. I was up super early running, doing sprints, and no days off, and I'm ready.
Yeah. So do you know who your next fight is?
No,
not
and
yet?
every day I'm looking at my phone like,
Right. Yeah.
I should find out anytime, you know. So
but it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter
for you, for a person
for
like
sure.
you. It just doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. I just want to get like, kind of know, so I get a game plan, you know.
Yeah,
for them or
of
whatever,
course. Well,
for sure.
yeah, that's
the
why it
only
matters.
thing.
But
right now I am training, and you know, I'm fighting in June. I haven't signed a contract yet, so I'm not going to say too much. But I should be fighting in June.
Okay.
And we might be fighting at, it might be a little bit higher elevation. So I'm like, oh man, I gotta increase my cardio up, but I already run and do so many sprints and train all day long. Like, how can I improve my cardio?
Put the mask
more?
on, right?
So I was thinking about, and I used to do that. And like, I remember Vic saw me at one of the schools doing sprints before he even met me, and before I even met him. He's at one of his kids' soccer games, something like that. And I used to go there, and I would do 40 sprints with that on, and man, that just sucks with that thing. It's horrible.
But it does help with that elevation.
I heard it doesn't.
Right?
I heard it doesn't. So I don't know.
Doesn't?
I heard that it has this one doctor. I can't remember. He's on Joe Rogan, but he was talking about how it's literally bad for your heart. It's bad for you
because it's restricting.
Yeah, and you can literally have heart attacks with it. And stuff like that.
Don't do it.
So that's what I heard. But I gotta look it up.
Do some research.
Yeah,
on
but
it.
there's also an elevation room up in Portland that a bunch of guys that I train with. They go up there and do conditioning in this elevation room, and you can literally put almost any elevation you want. But
that's fancy.
Yeah.
But I heard to actually get the true elevate, like if you want to like train elevation, you have to be in it for a week for it to actually stay. To acclimate to it. You know. Okay. I remember I used to go train at the BMF ranch with Cowboy Cerrone, and I can't remember what exactly it was, but it was like 45 or 65. I think it was 65 or something like that.
Is that Bear Mountain?
Yeah, kind of up there, you know.
Okay.
It's like outside of Albuquerque, like 45 minutes outside of Albuquerque, where the BMF ranch is.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
And so we would go. No, you think of Colorado Bear?
Yes, yeah. That's what I'm thinking.
That's super high, I think. But I think the BMF ranch was like 62 or 72 or something like that. But I remember when I went there for the first week training, I was training, and within like the second round, I felt like somebody was covering my mouth, and I was like, "What?" And I just couldn't get oxygen. And I remember I'd run outside in between rounds. I had 1 minute, you know, before the next round, and I'd run outside, thinking I'd get fresh air and it'd be better. Like, it is not, you know. And, and so that I was like, man, elevation is a real thing, because I never thought it really was or whatever. But so elevation is a real thing. You got to train for that, you know. So I'm gonna be. I haven't missed a day. I've been running 3 miles and doing sprints like crazy.
Yeah.
And
you look great. You look like you've gained your weight back since your weight loss.
Yeah. Well, and that's another thing. Like usually, for my Usman fight and for a bunch of my fights, I've walked in the cage at 182, 183, and you know, the next day I weighed 155, and then for this fight I weighed 178, and I never ate to where I got like sick or super full, you know, because when I'm dieting like that for so long, my stomach shrinks, and I'm eating just enough to get me through the next training session, you know, because I lose a lot of weight, like 40 pounds, 45 pounds. Ooh, and so for this last fight, I walked into the cage at 178, and I felt way lighter, way better, way faster.
So you felt good at that weight.
I felt way better, you know. Like I think this thing people are like, oh man, I need to get super big, so I'm in there, you know. But that can be not as good or whatever.
Well, if your body doesn't like it, then it's gonna affect you all around, right?
For sure. Yeah, and like I usually walk around like 195.
Oh, okay.
And then, but that's why I like 10, 12 week camps, so I can gradually cut my weight safely, and stuff like that, you know. And
so what's your body fat percentage? Do you know?
Right now, I'm not sure. I've had it tested at 4 for one of my fights, and I got in trouble. The doctor said it's unhealthy for me, and
at 4%.
Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah, that's very, very.
Yeah, he said it's super unhealthy for me. Yeah. And then I got banned from fighting in California because They said I gained too much weight and
After the
all that stuff.
shoot.
Whatever. They banned me for like a year or two. Or whatever.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, that sucks.
And I think that they did that for a while, and they were banning so many people because they were gaining so much weight.
Yeah.
And they're like, you can't fight here, you can't fight here. And there were so many people that couldn't fight there that they switched that policy now, I think.
Right.
Because when I fought in San Diego, I was 181, 182.
Yeah.
I remember the guy was like, man, is this scale? He thought the scale was broken, you know? And I put on a lot of weight, but
wow,
it's fun.
That's that's crazy too. We were actually just talking about like the weight loss, because people when they're powerlifting stuff, losing weight to meet your goal too. But it's like I like to just be at my weight. I don't want to go through the whole weight loss thing. Even if I could bounce back, it's just it doesn't seem like I'd be strong enough.
For sure. And there's ways of doing it, you know, but I was going to fight at 170. That's because I walk around 190, 195. So I was going to fight at 170. And then I started training. This was like years ago when I first started training. Then I started training with like Mike Pierce, Rick Story, Uriah Hall, these guys. Wow. And they were so much bigger. Their bone masses, they're just humongous bones. And I'd get kicked. And I'd be like, man, that hurt. And
see, you look dense to me.
Yeah, for sure.
You look like you have thick bone mass to me.
Well,
and that's the funny thing, because now you're talking about somebody else. Do you understand what we're saying? Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, then I figured I found out these guys are walking at like 220, something like that, and I'm like,
and Uriah Favor's like short, right? He's
Uriah Hall. I was like sparring Uriah Hall and those guys, and and those guys made me fight at 155. I was like, no way, I'm cutting that weight. I'll diet and eat nothing but grilled chicken and salad, for like 2 months, and stuff like that. Yeah, those guys made me fight at 155 for sure.
Yeah, nice.
I just knew that, like, man, if I want to make it and be successful or whatever, that it's gonna be hard to do at 170. These guys are so big, and
because they come back
even if your technique is good and boom,
190,
just those big shots, those little gloves and those big shins, like, man, 155 is like, I'm dieting, like all day long.
So, who? I've always been wanting to ask you, who have you looked up to in the fight world that you like right now today? Who's like somebody that you look up to, you admire the most as a fighter, either current fighter or retired? It doesn't matter.
Yeah, for sure, man. I think it's like been this guy, that guy, and then it was this guy, and then he got into drugs and this. Where I'm like, okay, But honestly, it sounds super weird and crazy, but I've always liked Khabib. Okay. Just how dominant he was, and then not only that, I just liked how if you talked crap about his family or his team, he'll literally jump off a freaking cage and fly and kick you in the head. You know, like, and I love that about him. I loved his style, but now I'm starting to think maybe him and a lot of those guys are on steroids. But man, I'm gonna say that Khabib is not. I like him or whatever. You know,
but he's retired anyways, right?
Yeah, for sure.
He could be on steroids now.
Yeah, right? For sure. But that's just one thing I liked about him is he just like we're literally.
He was so.
I heard he got fined like, oh man, it's millions of dollars for jumping off that cage.
Was that because of the Conor McGregor thing?
Yeah, when he jumped off that cage. And I heard he got fined millions of dollars.
Oh, I have no doubt.
And he's like, man, I don't care. I'll pay that million.
Right.
I'm sure Putin gave it back to him. Or whatever,
yeah, for sure.
I heard Putin gave him like a nice land and mansion or whatever after one of his fights. Or whatever,
nice.
Yeah, but
no, I mean that makes sense. He's a great fighter. There's nothing.
I'm sure, man. In fact, it used to be. I used to love BJ Penn. I was talking about this earlier. Yeah. A bunch of my buddies are Hawaiian. We used to train scrap or whatever. But I used to just love his jiu-jitsu in the cage, and he was one of the fastest Americans to ever get his black belt, and he won so many awesome tournaments, and he was the man. His jiu-jitsu, his flexibility, and I really like that. BJ was the man. I used to train with Shiruto, his BJ coach, a long time ago. He's the man. But and Fedor Emelianenko, I used to love watching Fedor from Pride.
He's so good.
Me and my buddies used to watch Pride every single time it was on, and Vanderlei Silva,
dude,
him and Shogun and Fedor. I used to love watching those guys.
Yeah, that was classic. That was classic stuff right there.
Yeah, for sure.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, hell yeah.
So go ahead, Mick.
I was thinking about a question. I was wondering, at what point would you allow your kids to come and watch you fight?
They've
how is that as a parent?
They literally have grown up in the gym. I used to put a blanket down there, like couldn't move, you know. And they've been in the gym with me. To this day, they go to the gym with me 3 times a day, sometimes on Wednesdays.
Yeah.
You know, they've grown up around it. They're doing jiu-jitsu right now, and that's one thing I'm gonna make them do until they're probably like 13 or 14. Then I'll let them decide if they want to or not. You know.
Yeah, that's
good.
But
and I tried to. I think it was my little boy when I fought in Ireland. I flew him there, and he was going to come watch me, but they would not let any kids come in there because the Irish crowd was so nuts. They said, we can't let kids in here, or whatever.
Super fans over there.
Yeah, for sure. But my little boy and little girl watched my last fight, and the last 2 fights, they've been having little fight parties. My grandpa throws a big party for everybody, and my grandpa said, my little boy, 6 years old, sat there and watched me fight for 25 minutes when I fought Usman and when I fought this last guy in Vegas last week. And he's like, he sits down, doesn't say one word, and is glued to the TV and watches like crazy. And so I was like,
so he's learning.
Man. Oh yeah, for sure. You know, but he also just sees me grinding and training and bleeding and getting injured all the time. And so I think that he kind of put that in perspective, like why I'm doing that, you know?
Yeah.
And and then not only that, like I tell him, you know, Daddy's going to get paid a decent check, so we're going to have fun after this. I'll buy you toys. We can go hang out. And usually I can kind of take like a few weeks off and just spoil them and go on vacation, whatever. But I'm right back in the fight camp for this fight. And so I can't really do that this time, but I know that it will all be worth it. I'm going to win this $1 million. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
I just wondered about that with like the fighting, and if you were to get like really badly injured, and like how that would affect your kids.
I mean, if I get injured in the cage, then I'm set. They're going to pay, you know.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. But if I get injured out of the cage, then that sucks. But I've dealt with so many dang injuries and broken bones and everything, and people don't know I've fought with bad injuries many times, you know. And
well, I meant more like for your kids to see that, like if that would be hard for them to see getting injured. That's what I meant.
I'm sure that they're probably like, yeah, that's painful looking. So it's
they see all the time. Right? Oh, Daddy's got stitches, blah blah. They know. They're used to it. They see that. They're so used to it.
Yeah.
They've seen
the blood.
They've seen the blood. They've seen me, you know, choke people out and all that stuff, and they've seen a lot of blood in there, you know. But they also know that, you know, there's a lot of respect and honor. Like I love my training partners, and I would almost do anything for them. It's like hard to like put into words, like when you grind and you're training and you're bleeding and you're sweating with somebody that's helping you achieve your goals. Like you get this you know, attachment, or whatever, like camaraderie that you can't even explain, you know. It's like I love all my training partners. There's sometimes where I want to beat the crap out of them, you know, but you know, no matter what, deep down I never want to hurt any of them, and I feel like that's vice versa. When you're training at some gyms, and some gyms are like, there's so much ego, and it's really bad. Ego is like the worst thing for the sport, and you can go to some gyms and people are trying to hurt each other, or they're trying to be the best, so they gotta hurt them, or they got kicked in the head on Saturday, so the next Saturday they're gonna come back and they're gonna try to knock them out, you know. Like that is so bad for the sport, and I've known so many people that were like could have been world champions or world class fighters, but their careers got ended short because they were
stupid shit,
just getting knocked out all the time and just getting you know, and all that stuff. And ego, it's all about ego. So you got to find a gym that you can trust your training partners, and that's where I'm at right now. You know, I feel like all my training partners, they want me to succeed. They want me to do good, and same with them, man. Every time I always pray for me and my training partners, even my opponents, you know. But we all have the same goals, the same dreams, and it's a crazy sport, and I hope that everybody can go home that night and, you know, see their families or whatever, and because man, I've been knocked out before, and that sucks. You know,
right?
So,
yeah. Have you ever watched any of the bare knuckle leagues?
I watched. It's crazy you said that, because I haven't watched anything. And then last night it was on TV for free or whatever, and I started watching a little bit of it. And then my little boy walked in the room and was like, I gotta change it, you know. But man, it's crazy to me, you know. Like I never would have thought that we'd be fighting bare knuckles, you know. Like that's crazy to me, you know. And I do see their points where they're saying it can be safer here and there and stuff like that, you know, because there are maybe more cuts or whatever, but usually when there's when somebody gets dropped, it's usually over or whatever, you know. But even in boxing, they say that MMA is way safer than boxing, you know, because in boxing they get hit, boom, they get knocked down, and they get up, and and they're still not there, and they get dropped down again. They get time to get back up, and those brutal up and downs.
Well, you've had
concussed,
multiple deaths over the years in boxing.
Oh yeah,
there hasn't been any in MMA.
For sure, I don't think so. And that's when MMA, boom, you get dropped, boom. There, you know, maybe a couple little strikes or it's over. You know, like you know, they don't give you a chance to recover when none of those guys recovered. You know? Yeah. I've been hit so many times where it's like. It's this weird feeling, like deja vu almost. You're like, whoa, I've been here before. You know, like it's such a weird feeling getting rocked, or like hearing a bell. Like, it's crazy. Like before my last fight or whatever, like probably 3 weeks ago, somebody threw a head kick and I blocked it, but his toe went into my ear, and it like was the loudest. Bell, like super loud. I was like, oh, what? But I felt this toe go right in my ear, and then right out, and I was like, oh, that dirty little dog, dude. And you know, it didn't rock me or nothing like that because I blocked it, but the toe just like, man, I thought it blew my eardrum for a little bit, you know. But I'm good now.
Little toe just saying, get you good.
Yeah, I went right in there.
Oh man.
For sure.
Well, good, man. I'm happy for you, bro. I'm so glad that you got this next opportunity, especially after hearing that he cheated like that. That was fuck, man.
So did they completely like just cancel that Grand Prix?
I heard they canceled it, but he's fighting Shabli for the title still.
Really?
But they're not fighting for the $1 million. I heard. They
but he still gets.
Yeah, it's stupid. Yeah, for sure. There's so many fighters. Even Conor McGregor went off on about it, you know, a little bit, and it sucks. And like I said, if it was anybody else besides somebody that with the last name Nurmagomedov or whatever, he would have been stripped. Yeah, but that's what I feel, you know, at least or whatever. And I'm sure, you know, it's good business to have Khabib at your events and all that stuff, you know, but
it's a bad look. It puts a bruise on the whole thing when you let a cheater continue
just from I know that the commission and all of them don't have the say in it, but when I talk to them, they were like, you are fighting for the finals, he's out, he cheated Brent. I was like, what? Wow, I was so excited, you know. And then to find out that it didn't happen, it was definitely a letdown.
And they just canceled the whole thing.
You know, I gotta thank PFL, Bellator for letting me fight for PFL and Bellator, you know. So I'm definitely stoked to be living this dream and fighting. It's awesome and amazing and a crazy rush, and I'm gonna be sitting in the cage in a couple months, and here we go again.
So here we go again, right?
It's gonna be crazy.
Cool, man. You got anything else?
I was gonna ask you the other day, you were in your sauna.
Yeah.
Right? And you maxed it out because you were like,
oh my gosh.
I was like, I looked up like the safe like temperature, right? What was it? Was it 254 you got to?
I got 254.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
What?
Like that's like getting straight in my fucking oven.
Right. What's crazy is like my buddy Ricky Simone has. I've had my sauna from a Century Barrel sauna. It's like the best wood sauna. The guys are amazing.
It looks awesome.
It is I love it. I'm in it at least once a day.
Yeah.
And but my buddy Ricky just got one like a month ago, and I've had mine for a lot longer. And he's like, yeah, I got mine up to 250. I was like, what? No way, dude. I've got mine up to like 220 one time. And so the other day I got the fire going super hot, and I went inside, had a put like some salt in my water, and I came outside, and then somebody rang on the doorbell. I was like, dang it. So I loaded up the fire again, and I went back in there, and there's these guys that will do an inspection or they're I'm getting a new roof. So they're looking at my roof. Oh, yeah. And it's like, dang it, I'm about to jump the sauna. So I went and made another fire. I just kept on building it up. And when I went in there, it was 230, 235. I was like, oh my God, yes. I've always wanted to get super hot. And so after I just put a couple of things of water on it, it was up to 250. I was like, oh my God. And because I told Ricky, I was like, man, I'm going to try to get it that hot like you did. And but he told me, he's like, man, I got to 250 and I could only do like a minute and a half and I had to get out. And I was like, no way, I'm doing at least 15 minutes, you know, because I got this timer that you flip
15 minutes?
Yeah, so I did 15 minutes at like 250, 254. And I was like a raisin afterwards.
Oh my
God. Yeah, it was crazy. And I had this necklace and I like lifted up and it left my body. And then it went back. I was like, oh, it felt like literally like somebody like put a lighter on me. You know, it was crazy.
God.
And all the walls of my sauna were so hot. You know, like I literally just like
How do you even sit in there?
I just like sat there and try not to
Don't
move.
touch anything
If
after
you
you
move,
sit.
even the air kind of burns your skin, you know, when it's like that
Well,
hot.
you're literally in an oven at that point.
Yeah, and that's why I was like, what the
Yeah,
hell
it
is
was
that dude doing?
it was kind of cool, you know. But
Good
I got
times,
this
good
cold
times.
plunge too that I usually jump in right after, you know, and it
That
like
would
helps.
be-
I think you give you a heart
Very
attack at that point, though.
They say you're good going from hot to cold. You don't want to go from cold to hot.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So I always get super baking hot in that sauna, and then I go to my cold plunge because almost like the first 30 seconds is like a relief, you know, like in the cold plunge. But after that, you're like, dang, this is not I'm cold right now. But
Did you do it after the sauna?
yeah. I jumped in there, yeah, for sure.
Jeez.
I feel I would
That's
not be able to
insane.
do that because I get really, really cranky when I'm hot. But I imagine like just walking into it at 230 degrees.
Oh, it's crazy.
Because it's one thing to be in there and then build it
There's
up. Right?
sometimes where I'm a little sissy and I'm like, I didn't do the other day though. I stayed the whole time. Sometimes I'll like lay on the bottom of the sauna because it's a little colder sometimes.
Right.
And I'll lay down there and just like, oh man, I gotta get back up. And I'm like, oh, get up. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then I'm literally like battling myself. You gotta get up here. Don't be sissy. And then if you just stand up super fast, you like it's so hot that you start coughing. It's like
Oh, God. Yeah.
you know. So I found out that like when I stand up from like 150 to 200 something, you know, if I take like super short little breaths like that as I'm standing up, I don't cough.
Man, you got to
or-
wear a life alert or something while you're in there.
I was actually
what I mean?
thinking
So
that when it was 250, I was like, man, what if I passed out?
Right?
Yeah.
And just
Baked to death, literally.
baked to death in here. I was thinking that when
You
it was 250
should.
the other day, though.
Yeah.
I literally
You should
was.
have a life alert or
But
something.
I looked at the door. I was like, I'm just gonna try to fall, collapse, and hit the door. I thought that in my head, you know, like.
Well, I would hope that would happen.
Yeah, this
What
is
if you fell the other way, though? Then
Yeah.
you'd be...
And you were in there
A
for
real raise.
15
I was in there for
minutes?
15 minutes, and I came out and got fresh air, and I went in for 10. Because I usually do
You
30.
went back in?
Yeah, and that was that's always the hardest thing. Just like when I was laying down, like you gotta get up, you know. But
Did you start hallucinating?
I got
anything?
super dizzy.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Wow.
And the stupid thing is usually I got like Celtic salt. I don't know if you.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
really good. And I always put like a bunch in my water or in my tongue before and after the sauna. And
Yeah.
I usually
Yeah.
that way I don't cramp or get headaches at all. And,
Right. Okay.
for some reason I didn't do that day. And
Okay, well, you had so many things going on with
just
like
always,
interruptions.
you know, but I definitely I was super lightheaded and dizzy after that, and so I was like, man, yeah, I put that bunch of salt on my tongue, and
Yeah.
I feel like that helps a lot or whatever. But
Wow. That's
Yeah. I was just
crazy.
wondering, like, at what point do you start like internally baking? Do you know what I mean?
Right?
Yeah.
yeah, and I was thinking the same thing, but I mean, I did.
You got
15
some
minutes.
thick skin
I
because
did
that
15 minutes.
I'd be cooked. I'm a
And the
fat
thing is,
little doughboy.
like,
I'd be...
do you guys sauna? Do you guys sauna often?
No,
No.
I want to. I need to
And the
get a
thing is,
sauna.
with a sauna, if you just get a sauna and jump in it,
Yeah.
you're not going to be able to get it as hot, and you're not going to be able to last that long. But it's one of those things like your heat shock proteins. You can get them, you can get like used to them almost, you know,
Yeah.
and get a tolerance.
Yeah,
for it, you know?
yeah, that's
And
true.
So
so-
it's the same with cold plunge,
So
right?
same with
Right,
cold plunge,
yeah.
you know, and I mean, no matter what, they are gonna suck in their own way. When it's like 200 something degrees or when it's 35 degrees, they're gonna suck. But you can tolerate them a lot better and manage them a lot better
When you're
once
used
you
to
do
them.
them all
Yeah.
often, you know.
Right,
So,
yeah.
So right now, I feel like I can get in the sauna and a lot hotter and a lot longer than the normal person.
Bro,
Yeah,
yeah,
oh yeah,
without a
no,
doubt.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Because when I first got in there, I was like, I was dying. It was only like 175, and I was dying, you know.
me.
And then I saw Joe Rogan, and that one guy, I can't remember, Gary something. He was talking about that the real sweet spot is like 175 to 200, something like that. That's where
Okay.
you get all the good benefits. And he was saying that even the red light saunas or the whatever,
Infrared?
yeah, infrared. He's like, those are really good. They have awesome benefits, but they don't get hot enough for the
Yeah.
real true benefits.
So
of
what
sauna.
are the benefits then?
I mean, it literally
Weight loss.
weight
obviously.
loss, all that stuff. But I
Oh,
mean, the
my
biggest
camera just
thing,
died over there.
the biggest thing is like Alzheimer's. It literally like 80%. If you get in the sauna, often like 5 days a week, you pretty much will not get Alzheimer's, and then it gets
okay.
rid of heart and stroke up to like 60% or 64%.
Yeah.
My grandma has a really bad heart right now, so I bought her a sauna for one of my fights, and but my grandma is like, I love her, but she's like, does it? If anything is like not comfortable, she will not do it.
Yeah.
You know, and
Well, if she wants to give it to me, I'll take it.
exactly. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I have like
Exactly.
I have a sauna in my Amazon cart.
Yeah, for sure.
Kind of like your head like pokes out.
Right?
I got 4 or 5 of those if you want
Right.
one of those. I cut weight in those, and when I'm fighting, those are amazing because
Right.
my head
Yeah.
is not getting cooked.
And you could take them. Are they?
They're pretty
Oh yeah, I take
portable.
them.
It's
I
just
take them
a-
or PFL. They always either give them to
Yeah.
you or you can buy them from cheap from them.
Yeah.
That's why I got like 4 or 5 at my house.
Oh,
I-
nice.
Yeah.
Every time I'm like, dang, I forgot to get mine. I'll just buy one or whatever. But, I love those portable saunas for cutting weight for fighting because
Yeah.
sometimes when I'm in a sauna at like the hotels and all that stuff, there's like so many guys and they're sweating. It's gross,
Yeah.
and I feel like my brain is getting cooked. You know, and they say that like. That sack around your brain, once you lose that water, you cannot gain it back no matter what for at least 48 hours.
Oh, wow.
And so that's like the biggest thing about cutting weight. People get knocked out.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
So,
Okay.
Yeah.
If you cut too much weight, that's why people get knocked out fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So that's a big thing. So
Yeah, it was
I
actually-
love my head being out of it now. It's
That makes
Right,
sense.
yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah, it was actually seeing your stories with you in the sauna. I was
Yeah.
like, why is this dude doing this? Right? And so I went and looked to do a little research on the benefits, and that's why
Yeah.
I have a sauna in my Amazon cart.
I have
Because
one
was
in my
oh, yeah.
Elster too. I still have yet to get
Yeah,
it.
just because there are so many benefits, like
so
long
many,
term.
Yeah. Like
Yeah, I
if
don't-
you don't want to have a heart attack, stroke, and Alzheimer's, or
I don't
whatever,
wanna have any
a
of those.
sauna
me.
is the best thing for you for preventing that. You know, obviously good diet and exercise.
Yeah.
You know,
Of
for
course,
sure.
yeah.
You know that's probably the main thing. But saunas are amazing. But not only that, like for me, I can I've been eating super good lately. You know, but like, there's sometimes I'll like eat so much and eat a bunch of ice cream or cupcakes, like, oh, and I feel so fat, and then I'll get in the sauna, and after the sauna, you feel light, fresh, and young. It's
Oh,
like crazy,
nice.
how almost like
So when you feel bloated, you go in the sauna.
oh,
and
and
you're good
it
to go.
fixes all that. You
Right.
know? Not only that, like
Nice.
sometimes I go in there, I sweat so much, I'll sweat like 5 to 8 pounds, and
Yeah.
then I'll drink almost a whole gallon of water or a whole gallon of water, and I literally just like flush everything
Yeah.
out. You know,
See,
and,
I gotta have my wife watch this part of the podcast so she buys me a sauna.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you need one. He needs one. I'm telling you, he needs one. Yeah,
I'll just come use it.
Right.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely.
Anything else, Mick?
No, I think those were the only questions.
You got
I had.
anything else?
No, yeah, just
Awesome, man.
stay tuned. I should be fighting and should be able to announce it soon. You know,
Good.
so it's gonna be in June. So I'm excited, and yeah, man, mark my words, I'm gonna win this $1 million. For
Hell
sure.
yeah. Yeah, you
Yeah.
are. All right, my man. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you
We'll
guys.
see you.